Drennan Roach. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Piscator UK. You join me back on the bank, and it is an absolutely glorious spring morning on the bonny banks of Loch Lomond. And I thought I would come back to this venue, this same spot that I did on my first coarse fishing video back in October 21. And it's now late March, and I'm just seeing if there's anything of a better stamp of fish at this time of year. I did fish once or twice through the colder months. The stamp of fish, it didn't improve any. I mean, there were still good quality roach, you know, up to the pound mark, but that was pretty much it. And I had some good bags of fish. I thought I'd give it a try again. I'm back on the feeder, and I'll show you the rig and the setup as the session progresses. It is a bit bright today, as you can probably see. I'll get my cap on in a minute. But yeah, it's just good to be back out on the bank, especially in such a nice day. Hopefully this bright sunshine doesn't affect the fishing too much. I'm fishing in deep water, 25 to 30 feet, and fishing at quite a distance, about 55 metres out. But like I said, I'll show you all the setup and the rod, etc. as the session progresses. I've initially baited the swim with 7 or 8 feederfuls of ground bait, and I've cut down on the loose particles. The sessions that I've been having, when I've cut down on the loose particles at the start, has been more productive than just filling your feeder full of, you know, whatever loose particles you're using, whether it be dead maggots, live maggots, etc. And you know, so 7 or 8 feederfuls, and quite substantial feederfuls. This is the Guru Exchange feeder. This is a 30 gram one, and obviously being the Exchange, you can add or reduce the weight, whatever the conditions dictate. So as I said, 7 or 8 of these, quite big. I mean, they're not their Coke can size feeders, but a substantial amount of bait. And it's just my standard mix, which is Dynamite Silver Roach Black and Dynamite Silver Roach Original, along with some tinned hemp. Not a lot of tinned hemp, because that's a bit of particle that, you know, I don't want to put in the water initially. And I've got some loose as well that I'm going to add to the feeders when I'm casting out. I'm on my first chuck just now after feeding, and I decided just to fish straight on the swim that I baited up straight away, start fishing straight away, and we'll just see how it goes, guys. I'll quickly run through my hook bait with you. So I've got some live pinkies that I've had left over from a previous session. They're just going to be an additional hook bait if it gets a bit tough. I've got some mixed live maggots, some reds, whites, yellows, and I've got some dead maggots in some water, which I'll be adding to the feeder as well, or I may use that on the hook bait. And this is just my nice fluffy ground bait, really active, loads of crushed hemp in there with the Dynamite Silver Roach Black and Original, and I've just done 50-50 today. Normally I've sort of done 1 part Original and 2 parts black. I don't think the colour really matters when you're fishing in depths of water, you know, in excess of 25 feet. If I was fishing shallower, then yeah, this time of year, being in the sort of colder months, I may keep the mix a little bit darker. The mix is quite dark anyway. The black roach is certainly sort of taking over the colour. But we'll see how it goes, guys, and hopefully talk to you soon when I get a fish on. The bites have finally started. It's taken 4 hours to get the first bite, and then I've had 2 fish in quick succession. I've had one decent one, probably touching the pound mark, and another not too bad one. It's just been perseverance today. Kept at it, kept baiting the swim. Stunning roach. Started to add some particles now to the ground bait, just to try and keep what fish that are in the swim occupied. Just sinking the line. The bites are coming really fast. Probably 10-20 seconds after the feeders hit the bottom. There's bites already. I missed that one. So the setup, I've got a 12.5 foot matrix Aquos Ultra D for distance. It's quite a powerful rod, it takes up to 120 grams. But yeah, I'm casting up to 55 metres today, and it allows me to fish the heavy feeder. I've got a 520 and it's a Preston Extremity 520. And that's loaded with 0.12 braid Guru pulsate, and I'm fishing braid straight through, and I've got a little helicopter rig coming down, twizzled boom, and I'm using the Guru exchange feeder. This is 30 gram medium feeder, I think it is. I've got a metre hook length, and this is 5 pound fluorocarbon. The reason I'm using fluorocarbon is just for a bit of rigidity, helps prevent tangles, and I'm onto a Preston size 14 N40, 3 maggots, 2 red, 2 white, just changing up the colours. Let's see if this show's still here. Perfect, right on target. Casting to the clip. As I say, probably about 55 metres out. Try and sink the line quickly as I'm getting bites really quick. Taking up the slack line once the feeder hits the deck. And the reason I'm using the helicopter rig is I just feel it's better presentation, especially when you're trying to cast at distance. It is obviously direct, it's straight onto the line. It's not a sliding rig. I like the way that you can get drop backs as well, drop back indications, which could mean the fish is actually hooked on and it's moved the feeder towards me. That's a fish on. I don't want to force the fish too much, obviously fishing direct braid. I don't want to rip the hook out the mouth. But there's a lot of pike here as well, and I don't want to get smashed by a pike bringing it in too slow. Feels like another decent roach, shaking its head like mad. Yeah. Really quality fish. Probably about half a pound. See if we can show this to the camera without dropping it in the water this time. Stunning roach. It's had a bit of a battle wound. It's probably been smashed by a pike recently. A few live maggots in the feeder, just to add some particles, keep the fish interested. The ground bait's now done its work. It's brought the fish in, and now we need to try and keep them there by adding some live and dead maggots. It's been an absolute glorious day today. Spring has certainly sprung. Yeah, that's one. It's a smaller one, but nevertheless, absolutely stunning. Fish on already. This feels like a nice one. Trying not to bully it. Absolutely stunning fish. Absolutely beautiful. Scottish wild roach. Now that's been a really good spell. In the last half hour, I think I've had 4 or 5 fish, a couple of really nice ones. So the session's actually turning out, well, I've got 2.5 hours left probably for the light. The session's turning out to a 3-hour session, even though I've been fishing all day. But from the first bite up until finishing, it'll be about 3 hours. But it's been worthwhile sticking it out, especially to catch stunning fish like that. But you predominantly fish your feeder static, but because I'm fishing such a long hook length, once it's settled for, I don't know, 30 seconds, something like that, sometimes worthwhile just giving your line a little pull, probably a cup, maybe 6 inches or so, and that straightens out the line behind the feeder. And also, by doing that, sometimes your hook bait will move and it can induce a take. And obviously, because the feeder's been in a few seconds, that ground bait, what's left in it, is going to be softened, and the time you move that, that's going to be closer to your hook bait as well. So the fish coming in, feeding on the particles, it's popping off. Hopefully a good chance they'll grab your hook bait as well. That was another superb bite. Just a little one compared to the ones we've been getting. Really aggressive bite. Just trying to the edge of the feed, on the right hand side of the feed, just to see if there's any bigger ones. Another superb roach. Fantastic. This feels like a no bad fish. It stays on. Not bad. Gave a better initial account of itself than it did when it was coming in. Feels like a nice fish. Yeah, they're all nice fish, but seems a little bit heavier. Absolutely stunning. Just a smaller one again. Absolutely beautiful fish. This certainly feels better. Kiting to the left. Yeah, well, that worked. Just casting to the outside edges of the feed, producing a better stand fish. Absolutely stunning. Pushing the pound mark. Just a little one. Probably the smallest of the day. Just trying the slider float that I've got short. I think there was a elevation on the float. Got something on the slider. Not ideal to fish two setups at the same time, especially one being the float. But I set this up as it was really quiet earlier on and put out about 7 or 8 big balls of ground bait with some loose particles in it, some maggots. And that was probably about 2 o'clock, just before the fish came on actually. So there's obviously little fish, might even be bigger fish, around the ground bait. And I'm fishing about 15 feet deep with a slider. I'll probably show the slider float in another episode properly, the setup, and it's a really good method to fish, especially in the summertime. It would be fantastic. Obviously works in the winter time as well, just that most of the fish are deep in the winter time. But I tried it a few days ago on my last session, and I had nothing on the feeder in deep water, and I was fishing about 20 feet deep on the slider, and I had about 10 fish in an hour, which saved the blank. I just got one on the slider again. Stunning fish. Bites have dried up a bit on the feeder now. Still getting a couple, but nothing like what it was. There's a float away again. Just a little one this time. I wish I had a proper camera to zoom in on the float, because there's nothing better than seeing that float go away. Probably the smallest of the day. Feels a little bit better on the float. Such a positive way to fish. I'm probably about 4 inches over depth. And a stunning roach. Could be, I'm going to say biggest of the day, but it's not, it's close. Okay, so time's now, it's almost 6 o'clock, and I fed that float line probably about 2 o'clock. Absolute stunning wild Scottish roach. This is another nice one, I think. The roach have certainly moved into the shallow water, that's for sure, at this time of night. What I thought I'd do is I'll just share how I use the bait and catapult. I've got enough bait here, ground bait, just to do one little ball. There's already some maggots in there anyway. And basically what I do is I take enough to fit in my hand, give it a squeeze. It's maybe not the best. It's maybe a bit over wetted. But I'll get something out of it. Now, I've already got my distance with the float, and I'm clipped up. So what I do is cast out to the clip. What I do is I cast out to the clip and I wind in about 6 times, and that's where my ground bait is already, or has been this afternoon. So I'll just show you. Cast out, hit the clip, sink the line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take the bail arm off, and that lets the weight sink to the bottom and the float stays stationary. So the float's at the right mark. I'll get my bait and catapult. This is a Drennan bait and catapult. My float's away already. Launch it out and fish on. I'll do another bait ball. Oh, a nice roach, a bit too heavy to lift. Fish on. Absolutely stunning. It's important just to keep in your mind how many times you wind in from hitting the clip, and if you do it the same every time, then you'll be at the same distance every time. Especially when you're trying to fish over your feed. Fish on. Absolutely awesome. feels like another nice one. Absolutely stunning. And just that couple of balls of food that I put out, it's just enough to keep them active. Absolutely beautiful fish. So you can let me know if you want to see using the slider float again, and I'll show you the rig in more detail the next time. Just the lights fade in and I'd rather you seen it properly. And I'll probably just have a proper session with a float, slider float, waggler float, similar venue. Now obviously it looks like I'm striking quite hard, and I suppose I am, but you've got a lot of line to try and lift off the water. Just liftable. And it's away. Feels like another nice one. You know it's half decent when it starts kiting off to the left or the right. I think what we'll do, guys, we'll see what's in the net and we'll call it a day, I think. So guys, got a lovely net of fish here. Probably got about 30 pound of fish. There's some really nice ones. Oh, you can't ask better than that. Beautiful Scottish wild roach. I'll just give you a bit of a close up. Some beautiful fish. So guys, that's the end of the session. I think I had about 25 fish or something, and considering that, you know, I didn't start catching until, you know, 3 hours ago, I thought it was pretty good. Feeder was quite good. The bites were, you know, fast and furious. As soon as the feeder hit the bottom, it's catching fish. And then, you know, I had a little bit of fun with the sliding float rig, the slider, and like I said, I'll show that in another episode if you're interested. It's a fantastic way to fish, especially when the fish are biting like they are just now. And I'll probably have another couple of casts. It's just that because the light's fading so much, you know, I want the footage to be as good as it can be. So guys, if you enjoyed this video and you found some of it helpful or useful, give a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comments below if you want to see more, and thanks very much for watching guys, and I'll see you next time on Piscator UK.